Also, this is someone who has been criticized for not being able to connect with people. And so that announcement is a time when you have all of your supporters around you. We see how much people love you. We want to see you interacting with people. And he didn't do that. And I think a lot of people went, why would you choose this when we've finally gotten away from being locked behind a screen?
Right, optics matter. And to that point, Jessica, a lot of people want to see that energy, that capability, that competence on the debate stage. So why don't we listen for a second on what DeSantis says he would do and what we should do regarding the primary debates. Watch.
I think we should debate. I think the people want to hear it. I grew up blue collar, working minimum wage jobs, and learned nobody's entitled to anything in this world, Trey. You've got to earn it. And I think all of us have to go out and earn it. That's exactly what I intend to do. And I think the debates are a big part of the process.
Now, some argue that's sort of a veiled reference to Donald Trump, who has said that he might skip those debates. And I'm curious your thoughts to that, and also to the point that President Biden has said he might skip debates as well. Can you speak to the import of the strategy of acknowledging debates and how the American people need to see and hear that energy, to Tudor's point?
Well, I think there's a difference between primary debates and general election debates.
Yes.
So President Biden will be showing up to the general election debates, whoever the candidate is on the Republican side. He'll square off against him, as he did against former President Trump in 2020. In terms of what's going on the primary stage, the DNC is doing exactly what the national committees for both parties have done historically. They actually came out in support of not having debates and just saying full strength behind President Biden later than Ronna McDaniel and the RNC did that for President Trump, essentially clearing the field. And there were candidates running against President Trump who didn't get their time in the sun at all. I understand no one thought that Mark Sanford was going to end up being president, but he was still running. And he was even stripped off the ballot in certain states that decided to bypass the entire primary system. So that's a bit of a false flag in terms of a comparison. To Ron DeSantis's launch, and I was on yesterday with Martha talking about this, and I thought, there are 271 million people that are roaming around Twitter. Maybe this is smart. They can chop it up, right? He'll get great sound bites out of this. And he can have a rally next week, or he can have a rally tomorrow night. Our time is skewed in this digital world, right? Where maybe it doesn't matter. It obviously was a complete disaster. And hearing that Twitter didn't even check to make sure that they could handle, 600,000 people or whoever tried to get in out of the gate, obviously that dwindled down, reflects very poorly on Twitter. The big thing for me, and obviously Ron DeSantis is not my candidate of choice, but he has a lot in his biography that he could have played up that he chose not to. When he came on with Trey Gowdy, and Trey is a wonderful interviewer, he gave him a glowing biographical opening and wanted him to talk about his military service. And instead of doing that, he pivoted right away to gender ideology problems in the military, not talking about why he served, what it means to wear the uniform, things that are going to resonate with other veterans. He has a working class background. Working class people don't talk about the woke mind virus, ESGs, Bitcoin, and, whatever George Soros is going to do to ruin the country. They want to hear about what your policies are, how you're going to lift people up who are farmers, who are policemen, who are teachers, et cetera. And I thought he just totally missed the boat. And they're out there bragging about their $1 million. Joe Biden, and he was widely criticized, certainly on the right and by some Democrats, for launching with a video. He raised $6.3 million from 96,000 individual donors on the first day. And Ron DeSantis wants a victory lap about $1 million.
And we still don't know the amount of those individual donors, to your point. It's interesting because everything that you said, I was sort of thinking about the WSJ's editorial board that called him more of a cultural brawler. And I think what I'm hearing from you sort of represents that. Harris, you've covered so many presidential campaign announcements. What did you make of the success of his and the rating?
So I don't think in the long run it's going to matter. I'm going to take kind of an oppositional view here. Because he's got some big events next week after Memorial Day. And he hits Iowa, and he hits New Hampshire, 4 stops in New Hampshire.